What's up, guys, and welcome back to the shop. In today's video, we're going to be going over 5 things that we need to be able to start bladesmithing. I went over things that we need to start knife making, but knife making and bladesmithing are two very different things. A knife maker can make a knife from stock material, cuts it out, makes a knife maker. Bladesmith is more of somebody who forges out their own steel and forges out their knife, and then from there basically follows the same procedures afterwards. The only difference is they take raw material and forge out a knife versus cutting it out. Both are efficient in their own way, and most of the times we end up sometimes having to forge and still cutting our material to shape whenever it's too big or whenever it needs it, especially when it comes down to not distorting shapes whenever you're doing certain Damascus or certain mosaic Damascus and things like that. We can go over that in a separate video. All right, for starters, the first thing you're gonna need is an anvil. An anvil can be either an anvil that you buy online. This is in Casio. It's 55 pounds if I'm not mistaken, and I got it for about $140 online at Walmart. Actually, walmart.com. I ordered it. It came out pretty quickly, and it's cast steel. It does a very good job. It's not very hardened. I mean, you still get hammer blows on it, but it lasts a lot better and it has a lot more rebound. When I first began forging, I used this guy under here that's just basically used for holding tongs now. I used a Harbor Freight anvil. It's good for starting if you can't get your hands on anything more expensive, but it's cast iron, so it's gonna be softer and it's gonna absorb more of your blows and not really rebound them, so you're gonna be getting less per hammer blow. But that's completely up to you. Me and my brother used that anvil for almost our first year forging. I barely got a little bit over a year that I started forging, and we used that one and we gave it hell, and it's all divoted and all bent and stuff, but it gave its purpose until I found this guy that I decided was fairly affordable and I bought it. Well, here we are now. If you can't afford an anvil, whenever you start, any piece of mild steel that's thick enough and that you can use to hit metal on is going to be better than using cast iron. It's always going to be better. So if you can find a scrap piece of steel, or maybe have somebody weld multiple pieces together and just flatten out the top and use that for an anvil, that's used very widely around the world in certain countries where these kinds of things aren't readily available to the people, and they do a lot of blacksmithing. They'll use a scrap piece of mild steel and it does the job perfectly. Well, while we're here, we have it right here. Get yourself a hammer, a square die hammer to be more specific. A square die hammer is a hammer that we use for forging. You can buy an old Harbor Freight hammer if you don't want to spend too much money. Just round off the face, flatten out the back of it. This hammer I actually bought from Alex Steel Company, and it's the only hammer I use for forging. It's awesome. It's a little bit on the heavier side when you're not used to forging very heavy. I think it's a 3.5 pound hammer. It will wear you out very quickly, but you do get used to it after a while, and it does move metal very nicely. Also, take into account this hammer cost me $200. It was quite the investment, especially considering this hammer cost more than this anvil. But it's my favorite hammer and it works very well. I recommend it. I very highly recommend it. All right, guys, next thing on our list is a belt sander. Belt sanders are used more in knife making. This belt sander my brother fabricated himself off of some YouTube videos that he saw. We have welding equipment that we bought, and he fabricated this guy himself, and it's what we've been using for over a year already, and it does the job just as well as any expensive belt sander. Belt sanders can run anywhere from $1,500, $3,000, $4,000 depending on what you're getting, and they're very expensive, and sometimes it's not always easy to get something so expensive, especially when you're beginning and it's more of a hobby, as it is still for myself, but I've been slowly accumulating tools over time. Quick tip, these guys are ceramic belts. Ceramic belts, I get mine from Red Label Abrasives. They're not cheap, but they're also not expensive. All right, so what I'm saying here is there's cheaper belts that you can buy, but these guys will outlast and outwork those twice, 3 times, tenfold. I mean, I wouldn't buy any other belt. So I get mine from Red Label Abrasives. You can get yours from, there's many abrasive stores, online websites where you can get them, but these guys on a 2x72, do wonders. I highly recommend them. And if you want a video on belts, what belts I use, what different grits, and how I get different finishes on my knives, be sure to comment down below, and I'll start working on a video for that. That way you guys can get an idea of what we use here in the shop. And if you can't afford a belt grinder like I couldn't at the beginning, a grinder is a great tool. It does everything that guy does. That guy's just overall better to use, and it's slightly safer, and it does a cleaner job. But a grinder will do the job just as well. And some people, that's all they use, and they make beautiful knives. So don't worry about that. You'll slowly start acquiring tools as you go, or make your own tools, just like I made that guy right there. Lastly, on this video, we have a 2-for-1. We have our bandsaw, and we have our drill press. I say 2-for-1 because we use our bandsaw to cut our handle material, and it does a great job. You can either use this guy to cut your handle material, or you can use a handsaw. I bought this guy at Harbor Freight for like 10 bucks, and I have yet to break it in. I wish I could, but I just don't have the time because I have to get these videos out as quick as possible, because I do this part-time and there's not enough hours in the day to work on everything. We're gonna pair that number up with this guy right here, which is the drill press. I got it from Harbor Freight as well. It does the job. It wasn't too expensive. I mean, it cost a couple $100, but it wasn't too bad. I saved up money for it. Well guys, that's it for this video. I went over a couple tools I have in here. Did I go over the forge? All right guys, our bonus tool for this video is gonna be our forge. Is hot. All right guys, our bonus tool for this video is gonna be our forge. This forge my brother built before we used the smaller forge that he bought online. That's the forge that we started with. We burned right through it after a year. It got a lot of usage, and we made this guy. For some reason, I forgot that. I mean, this is like almost the most important tool. I mean, a hammer, an anvil, and a forge is really the three most important basic tools that you need for forging a knife, obviously, because you need heat, you need something to hit with, and something to hit on. So if you got those three things, you're off to a good start. For some reason, this is our bonus because I forgot about it. All right, guys, and with that, we'll end the video. If you liked anything, be sure to like the video. And if you found any useful tips or any useful information, please be sure to consider subscribing. It really help out the channel a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you have any video ideas, you can type them down in the comments below, and I'll definitely be reading over those and getting ideas for future videos on knife making 101 and bladesmithing 101. That way I can help show you guys the things that I didn't know when I started and that I had to research and figure out slowly over time. I can just show you or tell you guys or give you a push in the right direction of what you can get or what you need to be able to start, because without starting, you're never gonna get anywhere. That's facts. All right guys, and with that said, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.